And I do want to add one more statistic on there that I heard when I first got in the industry is NAR puts out a statistic that the next top producer is 5 years out. So the next top producing agent is 5 years out. So, yes, there's going to be a decrease in agents, but you can also be the increase at a top producing level.
All right, Jake, let us know when we're live into the community. In the meantime, Robert, how's the weather in Utah, man?
It's finally warming up, man. Like it warmed up for like 3 days and then snowed for 2 weeks. And then so everyone was like, oh no, I thought it was going to be spring. And the last 2 days, my kids have got me outside to shoot some hoops and it's actually looking nice.
Nice, man. I like that. Because it's always super cold every time I'm going into Salt Lake. I'm like, am I going to be snowed in this time? Right. So
I think that's what's happening with them in Colorado right now.
Yeah,
dude,
I think so.
Yes, that is so true.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Today I've got REDX Robert Sullivan with me. Robert, what's up, buddy?
Good to be here, man.
And we're interviewing Andrew. And Andrew, you're in 2 different areas, man. As I just found out, you're in Florida and Colorado, right? Pensacola,
Yes, sir.
and Colorado Springs.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, by the way, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for making the time, man. You were on the phone call with American Express, so I mean, it was either continue that call or come with us.
Yeah.
Tough decision.
Well, I was weighing my options there, but no.
That's so funny.
I'm super excited. So
everyone, let us know what city and state you're from. I saw somebody from Massachusetts. I'm from Malibu. Robert, where are you at today?
I am in Orem, Utah. Balmy 52 degrees, guys.
Nice. And today we're going to talk about breaking into new neighborhoods, new areas, whether solo agent or a team. And Andrew has done this twice, even though he's been in Florida for a while. He did need to break in there as a new agent and then switched over and went to Colorado and broke in there as well. And just to give us an overview, Andrew, what do your teams right now consist of? How many agents, staff, and who are you with right now?
Yep. So currently as far as brokerage wise.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So I've been with EXP the whole time. I've been there 3.5 years. Time's flying. Just having fun with it, right? So it's crazy. I can remember my first sale actually, or my first client, if you will, townhome I was living in. And he called me up and said, "Hey, I'm selling. We're going to honor your lease, but I'm selling with another guy." And I said, "Did you sign with him yet?" And he's like, "No." I was like, "I'll beat their rate by 0.5%. That was my first deal. That was like my go-to, right? Yeah. So anyways, so we're in Colorado, Colorado Springs. We cover basically South Denver to Pueblo. We have 28 agents there. And then we're onboarding 2 more. So we'll be at 30 and then 4 agents in North Florida.
Oh, wow. So your team is smaller in Florida. How do each perform in comparison to each other?
Well, I'm part of I'm driving the force for Florida. So we're going to say that by numbers, we're outperforming Colorado. So if our Colorado team's watching, hopefully, you guys get fired up and talk crap to me. And, we can look at Sisu and crunch numbers because we have a competition going on. We have a Florida Colorado one that starts April 1st. And then we have a boys versus girls that we're starting April 1st as well, which are going to combine both the markets. So super excited for that.
All right, dude, I like that. And I'm going to start off with a story of failure on my part, because as I was expanding, this is before expansion was big, like 2008, 2009. I decided that I wanted to expand to Hawaii because I'm in Malibu, same area. And I'm like, I'm just going to go buy a whole bunch of leads and I'm going to perform in the same way that we've been doing it out here. And so it was speed to lead, calling, trying to convert. And it was me on the phone calling, trying to convert these. And I didn't understand at the time that the whole culture in Hawaii was completely different than LA. Like LA, I need to call right then. In Hawaii, there's no rush, right? Like literally no rush. And so I failed out of that market super fast. I was like, oh, interesting. Okay, check mark. Not doing that again for a while until I fix it. What do you look for when moving into a new area? Like what's the tech stack? How do you lead? How do you provide the opportunities for the agents?
Yeah, so we took all of our failures in Colorado because there's a ton of them, right? I was a brand new agent, basically a year in, and got approached by some of my great friends, my business partners now, and said, "Hey, do you want to start a team? We're going to leave where we're at. Let's start a team." And in my back of my mind, I'm like, I don't want a team. I just want to be solo, you know? I just want to have fun, run my own thing, hire some like a TC eventually. I had a TC after my first 3 deals because the deal was like I had to learn real estate. I can't just rely on the admin because questions are going to pop up, right? So I was like, all right, let me do my first 3 deals. Then I got a TC, and then we worked into an admin, right? Which our admin actually came with another agent that we brought over. So which was really nice. We love her. She's picked up a lot of the pieces that because we're just running, we're all operators. We're not complete owners yet. So like managing our own businesses plus trying to manage others and coach, train, mentor agents, balls were getting dropped. So how did I evaluate Florida? So I said, okay, how can I get leads for the cheapest amount possible, right? Which, REDX is one of them, right? We have 2 dialers there. We use REDX in Colorado pretty frequently. I was just telling Robert that I have to, don't quote me on the numbers, but it was like 2 or 3 listings just off the dialer this week. So they're working the system. But there's also door knocking, flyer drops. Those are the most affordable ways to do it. You can get flyers for like 19 cents to like 25 cents, right? And it costs you mostly just time, 19 to 25 cents each. And if you do bigger orders, the cost just goes down from there. So I evaluated it and I was like, we use Zillow in Colorado and we use Facebook ads. And then we also use YLOPO. We have a bunch of systems in Colorado. But I was like, let's just start small in Florida. Because the mistake was we spent all this money in Colorado first, and we had no training or no processes or tracking or anything in place. So we're just pumping leads into our team. And they're like, we have no idea what we're doing. And I was like, me neither. Just call, call, call until you're blue in the face. Well, we have processes now, but I was like, let's start small. And I was like, I'll just go with Zillow. I'm used to Zillow. They treat me good there, blah, blah, blah. Well, it was like $45,000 a month to enter this market. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So I went to Realtor. They're like 3,000. And I'm like, for like 1,000 leads. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we took our lender partners that we already had in place and we just had them split costs with us, co-market, co-brand with us. And that's basically what we did. Instead of pumping a bunch of money, we started small and now we're like working it up. So now everything's becoming more manageable with our CRMs and CSU in place. That CSU's been great. We've only been there with them a month and it's like takes so much pressure off my brain. So
yeah, that's very true. Well, it outlines it outlines all of the numbers for you so they're in front of you more continually. And I think that's one piece that we're missing is agents as a whole, right?
Yeah.
So that's so true. I'm going to go to Robert because I have a question. You mentioned, we're trying to go to markets and expand and try to really lead the most cost-effective way. And I remember a conversation I had with you, Robert. I don't know, it must have been in December when you broke down the numbers for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I took so many notes. But if you know offhand, what do those numbers look like from the ones you can remember for calls to appointments? And then if you can remember appointments to closing. I put you on the spot.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I remember those numbers. I remember talking about them. They're super.
Yeah, I remember.
So, some of them do depend on lead type. So for example, some numbers I do know off the top of my head, like if you come and get our standard Geoleads product, you're talking 2 cents a lead when you're making that phone call. If you do the Geoleads Plus, it's like 1.2 cents a lead because the cost goes down as you get more leads. So that's a per lead. And you kind of break that down, and that first number that you break it down with is what you are close, like, your habits on the phone, and, is it 1 out of 15? Is it 1 out of 20? What are your contact numbers, contacts to appointments? But then we do know appointments. I mean, the old data was like 50-50 on appointments, but the new data is a lot higher because of the market, right? People just are getting their house on market faster. So that's getting a little bit higher. And then if you get a listing, then that's the one that's really higher. I mean, you're like 90+% if you get the listing, you're closing that deal, right?
Which is
like
insane in the market.
Yeah. And again, that used to be 50-50. So yeah, I love what Andrew was saying, Tristan, what you said, is because, I mean, it's like 20 to 30% of the agents out there, according to NAR, are new in the last 12 months, right? And so you take that's just new. And then you have guys moving around. So they're in a new market, like Andrew's talking about. So half our audience that's tuning in today, they're trying to break into a new market. And we all know, because we're living it and we talk to agents all the time, 80 to 90% of these guys are going to be out of the industry in 2 years because of how tough it is. And both of you just highlighted exactly what to do, because you said, hey, I tried this and I failed, or I started this way and I realized it wasn't the right way to do it. So I went into a new market. I did it different. So I love the direction we're going right now. And I want to hear more, because I know whether it's a REDX customer, LabCoat agents, whoever's listening right now, they're probably a new agent that's starting down that road of failure, because that's what we know happens. And so to hear, oh, what? Andrew failed first? Tristan failed before? I want to hear this. And then how do you overcome that? So I love this topic and where we're going with it. And the numbers point out that yeah, as you're getting started and you want cost-effective leads, pick up the phone, and REDX Leads is going to help you out.
And I do want to add one more statistic on there that I heard when I first got in the industry is NAR puts out a statistic that the next top producer is 5 years out. So the next top producing agent is 5 years out. So, yes, there's going to be a decrease in agents, but you can also be the increase at a top producing level. So you just have to give it time and energy, right? So I like to look at both sides of it, right? They're leaving, but there's also some beasts coming into the industry that aren't even licensed yet, that we don't even know. So
that's very true. We were talking to Trudy Padilla. Remember, Robert?
Yeah,
it's a big REDX user. And she broke down, Andrew, everything that she does in regards to just listed, just sold, which is like the geo, right? Hey, I've got a buyer in your area, which she does. And then she calls them up. And I found, as we were talking to her, I'm like, that is probably the best way to get started as either a newer agent or breaking into an area, because the one thing that we're going to learn as we do this are skills that we can then reuse. And I don't think people think that way. This is why I love, like, Mark Rader on my team is late. He was supposed to be on this with me. And I know that he calls on REDX all the time. And the more he's calling, the more comfortable he is. And here's the thing he told me last week. He's like, dude, like, all of a sudden, like, everyone wants me to go to their home. I'm like, dude, that's because all of a sudden you're actually getting better on the phone, right? He's like, no. I'm like, yeah, listen to yourself, right? So half of this challenge is the skills and the training. How do you go about making sure that the people you're bringing in are being trained so that they can connect better?
So I created a video. I was like, okay, I can plug all these people into high level REDX users like Ricky Caruth or somebody else, but I'm like, I'm not practicing what I preach, right? So they need to see me lead from the front. They know these guys, they've heard of them, they may follow them, but they want to see me do it. They want to see the guy, preaching it in action. So what I did is I just did an hour call with REDX. I pulled 4 contacts, added them into my home bot, and put them on drip. And they willingly confirmed or gave me their information. So, because the conversation just went really well. And I think I only made like 100 calls that day, and 99% of them, I just did it in an awkward time of the day, right? I should have did it from like 7 to 9 or like 4 to 6, but I just did it in the middle of the day. I'm like, no, let me just record something. So my numbers were low, what, 4%, right? But 4% at a mid of the day is pretty good, right? So I'm like, all right. So I have them all watch it. We have it on our team website that we send out, our onboarding website that we send out to all of our team members. They can watch it.
Dude.
And then also we have them do the Ricky Crew 30-day challenge to get started. It's like he created it, I don't know, like several months ago. So it's like a challenge. You text it, and they just walks them through how to get started. And one of the key components is with REDX. So
Nice. I like that a lot. You know, one of the things that we've been doing lately is using the secret Batman number for REDX, where you call up and you just live practice. You get to choose your level. It's like, hey, you're beginning. You want me to go easy on you, or you're okay, or you want me to go super hard on you, right? And I tested it out live with, I think it was with Curtis. Yeah. And I'm like, let's just go hard. And so we recorded that. And dude, that's like the best thing you can do. Like that should be like training right there. And you can record, like if you want to get it every time you want to get somebody on the phone, practice with REDX live.
So I'm curious. So I didn't know about that, right? I guess I'm going to show my
secret Batman number, buddy. It's the secret Batman number.
It's the best kept secret. We need to make it not a secret, because all REDX customers, they can call anytime and they can do a role play. And tons of people love starting their day that way, right? So it's a lot busier in the morning, but you can get a recording of it when it's all done. You choose your level, and you know what? Just because I'm a nice guy, I'm going to say it out loud.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I'm going to say but it is a secret number because it's for REDX customers. So just become a REDX customer, but it's 801-418-9480. That's the secret role play number. And do
you want to repeat that again?
Yeah.
Make sure I have the numbers right.
801-418-9480. Cause I want, Andrew, I want you and your team to call in and use that.
Andrew, if you got the wrong number, you'd be like, hi, I'm ready. It's like, what?
Yeah, give me a level 3. Go ahead. Give me a level 3. I'm ready for it.
They'll be like, level 3. Well, I just heard we just sold a property in your neighborhood. Is there anything we could do for you? So
yeah, that's funny. That's funny, dude. But yes, dude, record that one, because not only like on video, if you want to record yourself so they can hear it, put it on audio, because you can record that one at any state. It doesn't matter, right? Because it's practice, but they go hard on you, man.
Yeah. I'm actually sending it real quick. I'm saving it in one of my partners is my notes for text. We just text each other notes. So then it's like, instead of using note on the computer.
That way, at that point, you know how sometimes in LabCoatAgents, we're like, does anybody want to role play with me? I need a role play partner, right? This is the solution every time.
Yeah. I love that. And
that's awesome.
And I love the idea of just hopping on the phone, Andrew, and showing your team, sometimes you have to show them why you're the boss, right? What you've done. And they want to see that in you. But it's also scary, right? You're like, what if I make 50 calls and I don't get a contact today, or what it is? But every time I've done live call sessions or been in live call sessions with people, it's turned out positive, because you know what you're doing. You go in with a positive mindset. You're ready to show your team how to do it, and you dedicate the half hour to the phone, and it turns out positive because it works. We know it. We just, everyone knows it works. They just don't always love getting on the phone.
I'm like, you need to get your energy up. I don't know, if you're sitting in your chair and your shoulders are slouched and you're not smiling, you need to get up, walk around the house, make calls that way. I don't know, somebody get up out of your chair and start pacing. They're like, why are you out of breath? I don't know. Why are you not out of breath? I'm watching Cops, like, no, I mean, I'm excited, So, that's, I always say just smile on the phone, because they can feel it. If you're like, blah, 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 I'm probably not going to buy from you either. Anything.
That's true, man. That's how it is. And let's talk about just calling in regards to geo dialing, just listed, just sold, right? Those, and anything else that involves just dialing that gives you the opportunity to connect with people, to build your database, where you're not having to pay for Zillow, Facebook lead ads, Google PPC. That how does that look on your teams, right? Are
Yep.
all your teams calling, or some people in your teams? What do you have that split as?
So we do call days. So we have 2 call calendars, right, per month. So each agent gets floor time for 4 hours. So they go on a week prior to that month, they pick their times on the floor, right? So they'll get all the leads coming in. Plus, that's an opportunity for them to solely have, because we have agents that want to call outside of their call time, which is amazing, right? That's why we got 2 dialers. But we have the main dialer for the agents that are on call that have all the data right in it. We actually just upgraded the second one to have Geoleads as well.
Okay.
That way people don't feel that they're limited, right? So they get 4 hours to call. So we'll be like, hey, go through our previous listings. For me, I'm in Florida solely or mostly right now, but I still have closings there, buyers and sellers. So I'm like, hey, grab my buyers or my sellers, those neighborhoods, and use mine. If you're a brand new agent, use me. Hey, so I say go on the Geoleads and pick out 50 to 100 leads from there. 123 Banana Street, right? And then do 100, do minimum of 2 years in the house, 2 years plus, and then your comfort level. If you're comfortable with only two numbers, cool. I like trying to get all 3. So I'll go in and we'll pull all the leads, create the folder, and I say, just dial, right? That's 4 hours of lead generation you should be doing. You blocked it on your calendar, do that. So that's for the Geoleads, and that just goes simply, like I say simply, but you really do have to refine it. Like you guys said, you got to do it over and over, and then things just start flowing. Even objections, dealing with the objections, man, the more you do this and the more you hear the objection, your brain triggers something to just auto response the proper response. They're like, how do you know that? I don't know. I just do. I did this a lot. Like, and plus I treat everything like a first date. I just say, hey, and I asked somebody a question the other day. I was like, hey, tell me about a good first date you've had with a guy. And they're like, well, technically I never had a good first date like you're describing. What do you mean the guy didn't ask you a ton of questions about you, showing that he's interested? I was like, I treat my customers the same way. I want to get to know them. It's not even about real estate. What's your family about? Where are you working? What's the cause for the move? Okay. I ask all these questions. I treat them like I'm trying to get to know them, like a first date. Like if I go on a date with a woman and I'm interested, man, she's getting like the 3rd degree because I'm trying to get to know her. Right. So plus she loves it because it shows I'm interested. Well, buyers and sellers are the same. Are you interested in my house and me and my needs, right? My wants and needs. So,
well, it's also the right, great dude. That's a great analogy, because it's also the right questions. Because if you're talking to her, right, as a date, right? As a date, you're not talking about like things that don't have to do with her that would make her feel like you're really not interested in her. Right. The same thing with the client that you're talking to, whether they're a seller or a buyer. You're not bringing things that are so out of like whack that they don't make sense, and it shows that you're really not interested. You just want to get the appointment, and in the relationship, you just want to, do the thing. So it's very interesting, dude. Great analogy. Very good.
It works if you've been on a good date. Because the other day they showed me, they were like, well, I've never been on a date like that. And I was like, but what about your husband? Oh yeah, I asked him all the questions. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, so for the Geoleads, we really do like the just solds, whether buyer or seller, right? We say, hey, you should meet your neighbor, blah, 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 boom, boom, boom. Or, hey, we just sold it for $60,000 over. Just want to let you know if there's anything in the world we can do for you, we're here for you. So, and then we'll door knock the area as well, which handing out flyers. So they see it, they associate that. So, sometimes they're mad, the guard's up when they get a phone call, right? That's fine. But when you go meet them face to face and then something triggers in the back of their head, you can kind of see it. Wait, didn't this guy call me the other day? And now they're seeing you and you're becoming the market expert, right? Because you're walking their neighborhood every month or every couple of weeks and you're dropping flyers. A girl on our team, she's kind of the foreclosure queen. She just got a call from a flyer that she's been farming that neighborhood. about their foreclosing on the house, and the bank called her directly to list the house because they found the flyer in the house. So, I mean, she just got that one this morning, I think. Like, she was texting all of us, put it in our group chat. So,
Dude,
there, it works. And then you do phone calls with the flyer drop. You can either do it with agents or you do it with lenders, and now you just feed off each other, and you just take a couple hours out of your day, go drop some flyers, and then make some phone calls as well. But as far as like listings and just solds and stuff like that, we pull the Geoleads for that. We have some agents. I don't really do the for sale by owners or expireds, but we have some agents that just got a listing doing those, so they work. You know, I would just say I like the Geoleads. Because their guard's not up as much, and I like to flow through them, right? Like, because I mean, I'm not knocking them, but it takes a different skill, right? And you definitely have to be better, because you have to be able to deal with those objections. Because for sale by owner, they obviously think they can do it without a realtor, but they don't know statistically that they would make more with a realtor, right?
they're getting a whole bunch of calls, right? So
and
it makes sense that the Geoleads is a lower barrier to entry for newer agents, especially if you're starting in a newer area, right? Makes sense.
Yeah. And it's basically, like he said, it's like 15,000 leads for the cost at like 1.2 of it's like 1.2, I don't know, pennies, right?
That's nuts,
because
man.
Yeah, and you get your conversion up. I mean, you do 50 calls and you pull like 3 appointments. That's a phenomenal conversion rate. I don't care like what anybody says. That's amazing.
You layer that with mailers to an area where you actually have a buyer for, right? On top of the calls, you layer it with a personalized letter to the same area. And then for those that you spoke with, so let's say you speak with about 13 people an hour, right? And then you also send a thank you on top of that. I think then you start building a database that you go back to later on and be like, hey, I've also got a newsletter, right? And then the relationship is where it starts. And then now all of a sudden you have a real database. That's why I love working this way, because you're treating this long term, and it shifts your mindset from the immediate gratification from Zillow, right? Realtor.com leads. The cost is high. The mindset is different versus I'm running a business that's going to be here making a massive net in money, right? Net.
Yeah.
Versus me spending, half of my money on Zillow and Realtor.com. I've done it before, dude. 50,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I'm telling you. This has a much better net overall. So
I love the idea too of these multiple touch points, right? And even if you go back to treating them like a first date or whatever, that you don't just swipe right. You've got other things you got to do to get in contact, right? And so when you couple a phone call with a thank you email, a flyer by their house, and knocking on doors, all of a sudden the whole neighborhood that you're trying to break into as a new agent in the area, they now know your name and face, right? And you do that a couple times over in the multiple touch points. And yeah, we know that at any given time, there's only 3% of these people that we're even contacting that are ready to sell. And so if you only make one phone call and move on, and don't try to nurture a database where people, when they are in that 3% and ready, then they're not going to have you top of mind. And so breaking into these new neighborhoods with the multiple touch points, I love that strategy, Andrew. I had a question about, because you've broken into two industries or into two areas differently. In Colorado Springs, you were brand new, didn't have a real personal network there, and you were a new agent. And in Florida, you had an existing network, so you've lived there before, and you were a seasoned agent, but you hadn't ever been, you hadn't worked that market before. Were there differences in how you approach being new, or is it the same? Here's my list of leads, get on the phone, door knock. Like, are there big differences between those two?
So they had different, I started at a different phase, right? So when I was in Colorado, I was like, okay, I just need to get out and I need to build my network as fast as possible, right? Because your network is your net worth, right? So I just started meeting agents, title companies, lenders, all that stuff, right? So I kind of skipped that part because I was like, okay, I need to just get into the leads and calling and doing stuff. I don't need to go out in the network. If you're a brand new agent and you don't know lenders, title people, and you're learning the processes, the contracts, title work, the lending verbiage, like how things work, you need to be networking with those people. Like they will teach you stuff without even you asking them to teach you, right? Just in conversation, you'll learn stuff. So that's where that was different, because I was spending a lot of my time with just meeting people, plus when you're a new agent, you get solicited a lot, right? They're like, send me your business, buy leads from me. And you got to sift through the BS. And I did a lot of sifting through the BS. But it just turned things on for me, because I was all in. I was like go mode. So I'm like, all right, every time I'm not at my government job, because I was working a government job at the time, I'm like, I'm out networking. I'm at sporting events. I'm in sporting leagues. I'm like playing sports. I'm out for drinks. I'm going to the association stuff. I'm just doing all this stuff. So that's the part I cut out. So in Florida, I'm like, I don't need to do that, because I have my base. I know real estate. I'm not saying I know it perfectly, because we're all learning stuff, but I had my foundation built. So I was like, I already had my title people, my lenders, and everything in place. So I just need to hit the ground running. So I went back. I've been working so in Colorado, when I first started, the average home price was $300,000. Now it's at about $505 in Colorado Springs, around there. In Florida, I'm working a market where I'm looking at $100,000 houses, and I just put a $900,000 house under contract, right? So I'm like, I'm back to the basics. I'm working with people that, are lower income housing, not any different than the $1 million house, right? Treat people exactly the same, but the price points are different. So I'm trying to find my niche here, which is fun. I'm like, where do I want to be? Do I want to be serving people in this community? Do I want to be serving people here? Or do I want to be here? So I did a lot of stuff wrong my first go around. Like I just got all these leads. I paid for all these Zillow leads, Facebook leads, all this stuff. And I put them in a CRM, and guess what I did? Zero with it.
I knew it.
Zero. So when COVID hit, and I'm kind of rambling here. So when COVID hit, it was March, and I was like, man, what are we going to do? We're shut down for 2 months. Right. And I'm like, all right, pizza party, come over. I got beers. We're just going to drink and make phone calls at my house. So me and one of the agents just started calling. Over 5 million in volume lost on Zillow leads.
Dude.
I'm like, okay, that can't happen again. So, so I'm just like, now I'm more in my CRM daily. I'm in CSU daily. Our agents are on REDX. Like we're maximizing our money. So I'm not just throwing money away, because that's basically what happened my first year and a half.
That's because we typically see when we're jumping in and we're newer, we see what the top agents are already doing and assume that that's what we need to do because they're at the top, right? We don't see the incremental growth of that happening. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
I'll break it down. So if you're calling the geo leads, I took notes. I'm like, you're calling, you're sending a note. You're probably stopping by, like Robert said, door knocking. You're mailing to them saying, hey, we've also got a possible buyer for your home by mail. And then for those that you connect with, put them on a newsletter as well. And here's what happens when you get the listing, a listing in that neighborhood, then the whole thing kind of starts all over. Hey, I just got a listing. And then, dude, everyone knows you in the area at that point. You're just circling right through because now you got the listing and it's starting all over. And that's the beautiful part about it.
Yeah. But like you said earlier, it just gets easier, right? Because you get better, plus your name and face recognition. Like it blows my mind when people don't have their face on something. And I know it's like a thing. I've seen it on, I don't know, a bunch of forums. They're like, oh, that's so like cheesy to have your face on a sign. What? My face is on everything. I don't care. Like, call me cheesy. I'm cheesing, you mean? Because I'm happy. Like, people are calling me.
They'll recognize you, buddy. They recognize you. All right, Andrew. That's all I got. Robert, anything I missed that you wanted to talk about?
No, I loved it. I mean, like I said, I think a big chunk of our audience is they're going to be new agents. They're going to be trying these things out. They're going to be making similar mistakes, overspending, trying the habits of the people that have been in industry for 10 or 15 years before solidifying their base. And so these are things everyone can do. Everyone can pick up the phone. Everyone can knock on doors. Everyone can drop off a flyer and get them in their CRM and send out a newsletter and start building that database to be successful. Everyone can do that. And I think just a lot of times jumping in, whether it's a new market or a brand new agent, you just don't realize that everyone started somewhere, and you don't know all these things that Andrew just shared with us, that's where you start and that's how you build it up. And I mean, Andrew, Andrew's that guy 5 years from now that he read in NAR that's going to be the top producing agent in his area because he's established the right habits, the right processes. He's failed a couple times and figured out which ones work. And so I love it. I love everything that Andrew shared with us to help out our new agents.
I love it. And then we did put up a link there. You want to jump into REDX. There's a special deal with LabCoatAgents. Andrew, how do we get a hold of you if we have referrals or we just want to follow you on social?
Yeah, I'll drop my number in here, 315-651-1597. And then Instagram. I use Instagram a ton. You and I have connected on there a few times.
Yep.
It's at Andrew M. Vose. And I'll drop that here too. And then you guys can call, text me anytime. I actually had 2 agents reach out to me on Instagram yesterday from a training I did, and they were interested in getting on REDX, and then I kind of walked one of them through what we do. So
I love it, man. All right. Just followed you. And Robert, thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it. How do we get a hold of you if we have questions about REDX as a whole?
Well, you can go obviously to the redx.com and look at any of us. You can call and talk to any of our customer service or sales guys at 800-731-7339, or you can email me directly at marketing@theredx.com and I'll answer your questions straight there. Okay.
I love it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Robert, Andrew, thank you so much.
yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks, Robert.
Bye, guys.